this organization is to get rid of social injustice for all workers. So what this means is that they have come up with laws and policies that employers and employees should follow at the workplace. For example, it is the duty of employers to ensure that there is proper sanitation at the place of work. So if the workers feel that there is injustice at the place of work, or they are not provided with working tools, then they can report to ILO, or they can write a letter to ILO. Also, it's this ILO that encourages workers, especially the employees, to come up with trade unions. So these are organizations for the workers which help to express the grievances of the workers. So ILO encourages each place of work to have a union. Okay, we proceed. They also create employment opportunities for both men and women who belong to these specialized agents of the United Nations organization. So they can advertise to say maybe they want people to go and work outside Zambia. They advertise so that whoever qualifies, for example, maybe they would need an accountant. So an accountant can come from any country that belongs to ILO. So even us Zambians, we belong to ILO, so we can also apply. And if you qualify, then you can be picked. So what you need to go and work outside the country is the qualification and maybe also the passport, so that you can be able to travel. So they create employment opportunities to different sectors of life. Very good. Let us move on. ILO also helped to raise world standards of working conditions. Like the example I gave earlier on, if at a workplace there are poor standards of work, ILO encourages employers to provide good standard of work. For example, like in Zambia, we have a lot of mines. And you know that working in the mine, you need proper working attire, starting from gumboots up to the clothes that they wear. They need to be protective clothes, because you know that in the mine there are some fumes or there is dust, and that can affect the people who work in the mines. And so ILO encourages employers to provide good working conditions for their workers. We go to International Monetary Fund, or IMF. So this specialized agents of the United Nations organization is involved with money, monetary fund, meaning money, cash. This is what we're talking about. So it lends money to member countries. It gives money to member countries. These are the people who have agreed to pay back with interest. So if you cannot manage to pay back, well and good, you don't borrow. But for those who are willing and they know that they can pay back, they are given back money by IMF. Like for us in Zambia, we have been given a lot of funding from IMF for different projects, constructing of schools, constructing of hospitals. And in return, Zambia pays back this money with interest. Very good, we proceed. It works to assist the growth of international trade to reduce poverty. So they encourage countries to trade with one another. And when we trade with one another, this is going to help reduce poverty. It can be poverty within Africa or poverty throughout the world. So those are some of the important functions of IMF. So in an exam, they can ask you, what do the letters IMF stand for? Simple: International Monetary Fund. They can also ask you, what does ILO stands for? International Labour Organization. That's a specialized agency which is in charge of looking at the plight of workers, especially employees. And also they create laws and policies that both employers and employees should follow. For example, at a workplace, the employers will give you the time that you are supposed to report for work. So you as an employee, you are supposed to report exactly at that particular time. Very good. Okay, so since we are concluding the United Nations organization, let us look at the benefits that Zambia has by belonging to the United Nations organization. We start, Zambia's health projects are usually funded by WHO. We have already talked about WHO, especially matters to do with immunization. They pump in money in hospitals in order to immunize our babies or our children who are below the age of 5. Also, UNESCO has supported Zambia in many areas: education, culture, and science. Sometimes they conduct research in science, and also they fund projects. Children do competition in science and they are given scholarships. Some of the pupils in different schools have even gone to study outside the country because of participating in UNESCO programs. We proceed. IMF gives loans to Zambia and also gives advices on monetary related issues. So when we have a problem, for example, when we have floods or when we are experiencing droughts, we can ask for funding from the IMF. Maybe we buy food for the countries that, for the areas that have experienced floods. Very good, we proceed. FAO has assisted Zambia on modern knowledge on food security. So FAO is Food Agriculture Organization. So they have assisted Zambia to learn new methods of farming in order to have enough food in our country, as well as having enough food for sale to other countries or to assist our neighboring countries. Like, for example, Zimbabwe his economy has been hit badly, and as Zambians we sell some of our food to Zimbabwe because we have plenty of maize in our country. Okay, UNICEF assists Zambian children on health-related matters, education, as well as nutrition. So UNICEF sends money to Zambia and it has assisted most of our children in our country. And nowadays, I don't think there's even this idea of a child dying out of malnutrition, because we usually see in our clinics, in our hospitals, children are being given that porridge which comes from Wazungus, or the porridge, the money that has been pumped in by the IMF is used to buy food for the children.